Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about climate. In this video, I'm going to show the difference between science, politics, and religion. This is Bandelier National Monument in New Mexico, just outside Los Alamos, where I grew up. People lived here for hundreds of years, but they abandoned the place during the Little Ice Age around the year 1550 due to a prolonged drought. Climate alarmists now believe that droughts can be prevented via carbon taxes, but I doubt it would have helped these people out. Another important part of Los Alamos history was the Los Alamos Ranch School, which opened up in the year 1917. It was a very expensive boarding school for boys, and many rich people would send their sickly boys there to get them strengthened up. Like myself, the boys wore shorts most of the time, even when they were playing hockey. Many top future business leaders graduated from the Los Alamos Ranch School. But the school shut down abruptly in 1943 when the Manhattan Project took over Los Alamos. Many of the world's leading scientists and engineers gathered in Los Alamos to develop the first atomic bombs. This is an iconic picture from the Manhattan Project. It's three of the world's most famous scientists talking at what is now Bandelier National Monument. On the left is Nobel Prize winner Ernest Lawrence, the man who invented the cyclotron. At center is Nobel laureate Enrico Fermi, the man who invented the nuclear reactor. And at right is Nobel laureate I.I. Rabi, the man who developed nuclear magnetic resonance technology. It's a pretty safe bet that these three men were talking about ideas, not about consensus or peer review. This has always been my image of how science is done. On the other hand, this image shows exactly how science is not done. On the left is an actor named Leo DiCaprio who owns a 450-foot yacht. At center is a pretend scientist from Texas Tech University named Katharine Hayhoe. She's made a career out of propagating misinformation about climate to governments and to church organizations. And at right is a politician who spent 8 years corrupting climate science from 2008 through 2016. This is a deadly combination of propaganda, junk science, and politics. Here's another iconic picture of what science is not supposed to be. At left is Michael Mann, the man who erased the medieval warm period in the Little Ice Age and created the completely fraudulent hockey stick. At center is a politician, former Congressman Bob Inglis. He has an interesting story which I will be referring to later. And at right once again is junk scientist Katharine Hayhoe. I took this picture at the March 2015 opening of a propaganda film called The Merchants of Doubt. The purpose of the film was to smear climate skeptics with innuendo that they were somehow linked to the tobacco and big oil industries. This event was another deadly combination of junk science and politics. Let's take a look at some of Michael Mann's political views. We're not nearing a constitutional crisis. We're there. Our nation is under assault by a dangerous coalition of hostile interests and enablers. Trump, Russia, Putin, Kelly, Nunes, Ryan. We must defend our nation by any means available. Trump, congressional Republicans, and right-wing media telegraphed this development with their heated rhetoric and actions over the past 2 weeks. Now we know what this was about. Mueller won't just make the case for obstruction. Collusion with Russia seems likely and RNC likely implicated. And here's his best one. The Republican Party is conspiring with Russia to attack America. Having studied Michael Mann over the past dozen years or so, it's become pretty obvious that his science is every bit as ridiculous as his politics. And this is the religious cult which academics like Michael Mann and Katharine Hayhoe have inspired. I took this picture on a beautiful July day in Boulder when the House Climate Crisis Committee met at the University of Colorado. Once again, another deadly combination of junk science, politics, and religion. What these people are doing has nothing to do with science. Leo DiCaprio, Katharine Hayhoe, and Barack Obama bear no resemblance to Nobel laureates Lawrence, Fermi, and Rabi. Times have changed a lot since the 1940s. In 2007, we got a new Nobel laureate, a politician named Al Gore. Al Gore has been the key player in pushing the global warming scam. The first thing Al Gore did when he took office as vice president in 1993 was purge some key scientists. He cut off funding to Dr. Bill Gray, the world's leading tropical meteorologist. Dr. Gray refused to go along with Al Gore's global warming scam, so Gore cut off his funding. And Gore fired Dr. Will Happer from his job as head of energy research at the Department of Energy. Dr. Happer from Princeton University is one of the world's leading experts in radiative transfer physics. In doing these acts, Al Gore sent out a very clear message that if you're a scientist and you're a climate skeptic, you better keep your mouth closed. Gore's other key act was creating a science fiction film called An Inconvenient Truth, which he got pushed into essentially every public school around the world. In doing so, he created an entire generation of propagandized children like Greta Thunberg and Alexandria Cortez. After a few-year gap following Al Gore, Barack Obama once again picked up the torch of shutting down climate skeptics. He claimed that he was protecting science from politics when in fact he was doing the exact opposite. His Secretary of the Interior, Sally Jewell, threatened climate skeptics working for the government. Once again, she made it clear that if you're a climate skeptic and you're working for the government, you better keep your mouth closed. Barack Obama, who has no background in science, compared some of the world's leading scientists to the Flat Earth Society. Apparently, Obama's definition of the Flat Earth Society includes the people who got us to the moon 50 years ago. While Obama was president, many of the top people from the Apollo program sent a letter to the NASA administrator asking him to stop doing the junk climate science, which was tarnishing the agency's reputation. Let's put this in context. Non-scientist Barack Obama calling the people who went to the moon flat earthers. Pretty stunning hubris and arrogance on Obama's part. And then after silencing the world's top scientists, Barack Obama said, 97% of scientists agree climate change is real, man-made, and dangerous. I find the ugliness and political manipulation on display here from Barack Obama to be pretty stunning. Now let's go back to former Congressman Bob Inglis. He was a conservative Republican from South Carolina. I took this picture while he was relaying the story of how he became a climate alarmist. His kid came home from school one day and told him, "Dad, I'm not going to talk to you anymore unless you stop being a climate skeptic." And that was it. He turned into a climate alarmist because his kid was propagandized by Al Gore's sci-fi flick. That's how climate alarmism operates. It has nothing to do with science and everything to do with thuggery, intimidation, and propagandizing children. Lawmakers being threatened by their own children is a pretty effective propaganda technique. It's rumored that Tom Steyer, the California billionaire, also became interested in climate after he was confronted by one of his children, thus reinforcing my point that Al Gore is the key person in the global warming scam because he got his propaganda into the schools. Tom Steyer's Wikipedia page says that he has long been interested in combining religion and politics. The fake science guy, Bill Nye, has also had a large influence on children, and he advocates having climate heretics prosecuted and jailed, straight out of the Dark Ages. Al Gore's generational propaganda has definitely paid off. He indirectly created Greta Thunberg, and he also indirectly created Alexandria Cortez. Alexandria Cortez and the Washington Post believe that the end is near, just like Homer Simpson. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution reads, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. But climate alarmists want to force their religious death cult on the rest of the population, and they use every imaginable form of thuggery to silence dissent. If we're going to survive, we need to get away from this horrible combination of religion and politics and get back to doing science. We need top scientists like Bill Gray and Will Happer providing the input to our lawmakers, not actors, junk scientists, and politicians with an agenda. Bad scientists have done terrible damage to many civilizations in the past, and our current civilization is at risk from some of the worst scientists in history. Visit Toto on the web at realclimatescience.com. He's been pulling back the curtain on junk science and propaganda for a long time.